The Constitutional Commission took its message of gender equality to San Salvador this week.
The Constitution Commission's educational team was there recently to help make sure residents understand the bills fully. Julian Reed reports.
The word sex has always been included in the Bahamas Constitution, but if the proposed amendments on equality and in particular Bill 4 are passed, it will finally be explicitly defined as male or female. Retired Justice Ruby Nottage, who co-chairs the Constitutional Commission's educational team, stressed this again as she spoke to residents of San Salvador Friday night. She added that this bill has nothing to do with marriage.
Marriage in the Bahamas still remains the same. It is defined as the union of one man and one woman. So any marriage or purported marriage that is not between one man and one woman is illegal.
Pastor Mavis Major is one of those people who had apprehensions about the proposed amendments. She says, however, that she's now satisfied that she fully understands them and is ready to vote.
Because I believe it's the right thing to do. And what it is, many persons I believe were looking for this thing to happen, to bring a change about in the family, and especially those persons who have sons and daughters who married or in foreign places and have children. You really need it.
Pastor Major gave her thoughts on why people are still unclear about what the proposed bills mean.
And one thing I try to instill within them, if they would come to the meetings, to listen from the horse's mouth, hear it from the horse's mouth, they would be able to be more enlightened about really what it is all about. Because looking on it, it seems as if sometimes we don't understand, and we listen to hear what each person, others have to say. And listening to others, sometimes you get the wrong perception of what's really going on.
While Bill number 4 makes it unlawful to discriminate based on sex, which is defined as male or female, Bill number 1 will allow a born Bahamian man or woman to pass on their citizenship to their children in the same way. Bill number 2 will allow foreign spouses of Bahamians to get citizenship, providing they satisfy national security and public policy considerations, and new provisions guarding against marriages of convenience. Under Bill number 3, a child born to a Bahamian father out of wedlock can get Bahamian citizenship once DNA evidence supports it. One more thing, the outcome of the upcoming constitutional referendum will be binding on the government. Julian Reed, ZNS Network News.
Health assessments are reportedly being taken of residents who are complaining of illnesses due to those continued fires at the New Providence landfill. Minister for the Environment, Ken Dorsett, says efforts are underway to address this vexing issue.
The Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Glenn Benaby, I think that they are doing an assessment to determine what has happened in terms of responses and people going to clinics, people going to PMH in the wake of what has transpired recently. And I think that they are now going to determine what obviously should be the future protocols. I know that in the past we have told the public that if during the wake of a fire, if you have any respiratory challenges, please go to a neighboring clinic, go to the medical facilities and assess yourself.
Now, Dorsett noted that he also met with organizers of the group raising awareness of the Bahamas landfill, or rabble, which held a protest over the weekend to air their frustrations over those continued fires.
Illegal protests, we encourage our citizenry certainly to express themselves in a peaceful and legal way. And that's exactly what they did. And we welcome the ongoing dialogue and the participation of NGOs like that in terms of public education and public awareness as to what each and every one of us can do to abate the fires by ensuring that the hazardous materials that ought not to be put in your residential garbage is not placed in there, which could end up in the landfill and create challenges for us all.
President of the Bahamas Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union, Sloan Smith, claims their strike poll was sabotaged as hundreds of officers were reportedly turned away from polling stations this morning. The strike vote is in relation to a trade dispute filed against the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Immigration back in December over a bargaining unit proposal that included both salary increases and assorted benefits. Smith insisted that his union took all the necessary steps, including informing the Department of Labor more than a week in advance of the poll.
It requires us to give the minister 48 hours notice of the intent to hold the poll. We then determine where, when, and his instruction would be to the Department of Labor to cause that persons, the designated officer, go and supervise that to ensure that the poll is in fact certified. We did this on Wednesday of last week. That's well over the 48-hour period that is required by law. Knowing that the date is the 12th, that we said in the letter on Wednesday of last week. This morning, all over the country, Customs and Immigration staff showed up to the various polling stations identified in the letter that we sent to the Honorable Minister. And this is the letter here. It tells them specifically where they're going to vote, only to be turned away this morning, because we are understanding that the Department of Labor is saying that they got no instruction from the minister.
Director of Labor Robert Farquharson responded to the union's allegations, noting that a court ruling on Monday dismissed many of the union's issues.
The claims made by executives of the Bahamas Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union that the Ministry of Labor and National Insurance is involved in sabotaging the strike vote or prohibiting constitutional rights of workers is false, erroneous, and without foundation. The issues wrong in the trade dispute filed by the Bahamas Customs and Immigration and Allied Workers Union on September 14, 2016 involve the completion of a collective bargaining agreement between the union and the government of the Bahamas. On March 24, 2016, the government of the Bahamas invited the Bahamas Customs and Immigration and Allied Workers Union to return to the negotiating table in an effort to conclude the collective bargaining agreement. However, to date, the union has not made an effort to return to the negotiation process. On April 11, 2016, Supreme Court Justice the Honorable Ian Winder issued a written ruling wherein the Supreme Court upheld the position of the government of Bahamas regarding salaries and allowances and dismissed the case of the Bahamas Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union.